Time. That's okay. We're going live. Hello there. It's Thursday afternoon night. Welcome to the party, kids. Episode 102 of LightsThunderAction is going to be coming to you shortly. While we wait for JRB to come back from running around the house due to armor wars, listen to this amazing, I don't know what do you call it, elevator music? Sure, we'll go with that. Episode 102 of Lights Thunder Action is here for you. We are talking She-Hulk episode 7, Deadpool 3. We'll mention WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, becoming a WMD on themselves. And also, we're going to dive into the breaking news of Armor Wars. And if you could see JRB's face, he is crying. Don't let him lie to you. He loves a good cry. We will see you right after the jump. Welcome to
LTA with
TCR
and JRB.
This is where the fun begins.
You're just not thinking fourth dimensionally.
Slowness! Peter 03!
Num num.
I'm vengeance.
What?
Did we just become best friends?
Yup!
I love you guys.
Hold on to your butts.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
Dude, I almost had you. To that I say, all right.
Good afternoon, evening. It is September 29th, 2022, and it is time for your Thursday night pick-me-up, where two Thunder buddies dive into all things Marvel, DC, pop culture, IP, and the latest happenings in the film industry. That's your line. I almost said your lines, man. I was so into it.
On today's show, Thomas and I are joined by TJ. I'm always going to butcher his last name. Zwarych of Agents of Fandom. And we are going to talk about some huge Marvel developments, including Hugh Jackman's return as Wolverine, Blade's director exiting the project. Armor Wars is a movie now. Before we get to any of that, plus some She-Hulk talk, Thomas, where can everybody find our show?
You can find us live beaming directly into your homes and phones via LightsThunderAction Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter and YouTube. All of those links can be found at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow to view the live version of our show. where you can interact with us. But if you don't want to look at our beautiful bearded faces, but you love hearing our beautiful bearded voices, JRB,
then you can find our beautiful voices, TCR, on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Spotify. Be sure to follow and subscribe on those platforms. Leave us a review, preferably 5 stars, if you will, and ask us a question in that review. We'll bring it right here on the show and answer it for you.
Absolutely.
So, Thomas, with all that out of the way, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. We're on a time limit today. We have a lot more to talk about here at the top of the show. So without further ado, joining us from Canada, everyone's favorite agent of fandom from Agents of Fandom, TJ Zwarych.
What's up, everybody? We got the TCR, we got the JRB. We had to combine the T and the J to come on the pod.
Nice.
I'm very happy to finally link up with you guys.
TJZ, how are you doing? It is awesome to have you. This is my first. We actually just met like today, so this is really cool going by you. We had Jade on last week to talk She-Hulk, and it was a blast. So we're looking forward to some more of that with you. But there's a ton happening in the Marvel world right now. Is your brain okay? Because with the amount of content you're probably having to push out right now, can you tell everyone a little bit about what you've had to do this week to get a better idea of what it is you do?
So it's been chaotic, but it's been a lot of fun. And so I actually just ended my teaching job this year for at least indefinitely. I decided I wasn't going to do that for a while. So I'm just doing fantasy sports content over at rotogrinders.com. And then I'm the editor-in-chief of the Agents of Fandom. So we've been trying to catch up just from the last week and a half, trying to put out content from the Edmonton Expo, which I was at. I got to talk to the cast from Overwatch that was there. So Sombra Symmetra and Widowmaker, Anjali Bhamani, Carolina Ravassa, as well as Chloe Hollings. And then also talked to David Hayter, who wrote 2000's X-Men movie, which obviously is now back in the news with Hugh Jackman coming to the MCU, which we're going to be talking about, as well as Dante Bosco, who is Rufio from Hook, and he's Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So we've been trying to put, it's like, it was,
I didn't know that. That is a very good casting.
It was, he was awesome. He was incredible, but it's just been so much stuff we're trying to push out, and now all this craziness. But I'm thankful because a few months ago, it was just myself, Garrett Blaney, and Ruben Rapalda. We were the only Agents of Fandom, and now there's 25 of us. And you had Jade on the pod last week, and she's just absolutely incredible. So we got these awesome people like Jade and Jaden and CJ and Emma and all these wonderful, wonderful people who have been kind of picking up the slack while we've been busy. So it's been pretty awesome.
Man, that is so cool. Well, we are more than happy to have you, and it's always cool to meet more people in the fandom, in the industry, and you guys are kind of leading that charge with the expedited growth you've had with your brand. So that's really cool. Really, really cool.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Of course. And again, thanks for coming on, man. It's exciting. I'm trying to remember. I think we were on 15 Minutes of Marvel's 100th episode, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. When Jade was asking me about the two of your podcasts, I said heck yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I've done a pod with Thomas before. I think it was Ethan's. I'm not positive. Yeah. I know I've met him, but yeah, that was the 100th episode. That's exactly where it was.
That's awesome.
It took me about a week to remember. I was like, I know I was on a show. I had to listen to all the podcasts. I'm like, it was these voices. Okay. Man, I'm excited to dive into this. We'll just jump right on in. You're the one who broke this news to us right before we went live. Armor Wars. He already got his arms up. Armor Wars is a movie now coming from PH. You said? Yeah. Are we comparing gauntlets now? Is that what
yes.
Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Ooh. I don't have my batteries in right now.
Look at you guys. I got my regular Thor hands, so that's cool.
I got Stormbreaker and Mjolnir back there too.
Oh, I love it.
I've got my metal Mjolnir just across from me.
You know what?
Here.
I thought about, since we're doing it, let's just go all out. I'm going to put the helmet on. We're putting the helmet on.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear
we're
your
not
voice.
putting the helmet on.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's gonna be great that's great audio content right there. Just put
Dude,
the helmet on. We'll see what happens.
I cannot believe this is happening. So my hat's on all sideways now, but it just broke that Armor Wars, the Don Cheadle-led Disney Plus series, is now being entirely reworked into a full feature film, which I mean, that can mean so many different things. But if anything else, it means the story's got to be pretty freaking awesome for them to upgrade it from a series to a movie. But I could not be more pumped. We're getting more Iron Man content in the movie theaters. We haven't had an Iron Man movie or Iron Man related movie that's not an Avengers movie in theaters since 2013? Since Iron Man 3? So it's been so long. And you can say like, oh, well, he showed up in like Civil War. He showed up in Spider-Man Homecoming, but this is an Iron Man movie. And it's been a long time. I'm still so in shock by this. TJ, what are your initial thoughts seeing that they're going to rework this Disney Plus show into a new MCU movie?
I'm excited because this is a project that for a while, so many of us have kind of been like, all right, but what about Armor Wars? But what about Armor Wars? But what about Armor Wars? Because they unveiled it so long ago. And then ever since, we've gotten a bunch of new content announced and no updates on Armor Wars. So it's nice to see that something's finally happening and being adapted to a film is, like you said, a pretty big deal. I'm so excited about the continuation of Tony Stark's people, and to get to see Rhodey as, I'm assuming, the lead, and some Ironheart. Maybe we get Justin Hammer back. Who knows? I'm very, very excited about this, and there has to be more to it. You know what I mean? Like, we've been wondering when more Armor Wars news is coming. We know we're going to see Ironheart. We know we're going to see Rhodey, and we don't know a lot else. So it's going to be very interesting what the big thing that we're kind of missing with this project is.
Right. It's interesting to see that this isn't just like a side story for them anymore. This is a story that's worth telling on the MCU's movie timeline. So you're right. We're meeting Riri Williams soon, who's going to be Ironheart. She's going to be directly connected to that. We're going to see Rhodey in Secret Invasion next spring. So we'll catch up with him shortly too. So it's really exciting to see that this is all building towards something greater rather than another side story. TCR, you hear Armor Wars. It's a very down-to-earth story, very, very grounded, very back to the basics, if you will. This will probably be more of a classic Phase 1 or 2 style MCU project, unless they throw a curveball to us. What are you expecting from this? Do you think that this is going to be something fans want to see, or do you think that they should update the Iron Man genre, if you will, to something more modern, something different?
I think this is gonna be more of a Phase 3 curveball, JRB. I'm getting the idea of we're having all these movies about war coming up in a row. We've got Thunderbolts, right? It's all kind of Phase 5 kind of seems to be building to Thunderbolts. Then you've got Deadpool, which could just be Deadpool kills the Fox universe. We'll get to that in a little bit and why that should be the greatest thing that ever happened.
Oh, wow.
And then we've got World War Hulk that's rumored to be out there waiting around. Armor Wars waiting to come out. Building to the Kang Dynasty, a war movie. Secret Wars, a war movie. There's a lot of war going on. So I'm getting the idea that there might be a lot of little things going on and a lot of battles all throughout happening. And I feel like Armor Wars might be Cheadle. Whiplash might come back. That's a joke. I don't think maybe not in the same incarnation. There might be like his daughter or something. I don't think we get Mickey Rourke back in the MCU again. But there's a lot of opportunity here to have various armored characters. There could be multiple government Iron Peoples. I almost said Iron Man, but like, why would they hold back? I mean, Pepper Potts might come back for Armor Wars. And then we've got them all together fighting. Like, it could just be straight up warfare. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the Iron Man guy. Like, you are Iron Man. Can't you imagine having, just think Power Rangers, right? But it's all the Power Rangers fighting themselves. That's the imagery in my mind. But instead of Power Rangers, they're Iron people.
Ever since we got the first look at Iron Man's Hall of Armor in his workshop, I've wanted something that really showcased what these suits of armor are capable of, and what like really showing off their ability and what makes them unique, but also showing how they can be practically used, and you know, showing off their strengths in something like Armor Wars makes way more sense, because even in Iron Man 3, when you saw 20 different suits on screen, they were all doing the same thing, just flying around zapping bad guys. And the special abilities of all the different types of Iron Man suits was very limited. So getting a project that's dedicated towards Armor Wars, where they're going to explore, you know, stolen Stark tech and how it's affecting the real world, I think has a lot of potential to be a really cool feature film, and a really awesome follow-up to the Iron Man legacy that largely played out in a movie theater. So it almost seems fitting that the true follow-up to Iron Man's legacy is playing, you know, on a big screen.
I have two kind of galaxy brain theories that I want to throw the two of your way. I'll talk about them later as well on the Agents of Fandom podcast we're going to have this week with Rob from Streamer News, but they just came into my head right now, and there's no way I can wait till then. We got to talk about this now. I don't know if either are whatsoever likely. Like I said, they just popped into my brain. But number one is we still have no idea where the hell White Vision is. So we've recently had interviews with, we've had news of Kevin Feige saying he wants more Scarlet Witch back in the MCU. We've had Lizzie Olsen saying that she's excited to pop back in the MCU whenever it happens. Now, there's obviously things like Agatha Coven of Chaos that would make sense for her to pop in, but could it be possible we get a pretty aggressive White Vision storyline and we get the Scarlet Witch popping in this movie as well? And maybe that has the decision to make that happen contributed to a decision to want to push this to the big screen. What do you guys think?
I love that. I mean, White Vision was one of the first things they did with Phase 4, and we haven't seen him since. You know, that WandaVision ended with him basically bolting off to who knows where, and we've had almost a dozen MCU projects since then. We haven't seen him or heard from him. That's definitely going to be at least a talking point in Armor Wars. Is you know, Vision was constantly referred to as, you know, the most advanced, you know, sentient weapon that to ever be created. Stark had a huge hand in creating that, and the other half of that equation was Ultron, which was also created by Stark. So all of this leads back to Iron Man and the legacy that he left. So Vision ties to that more closely than almost anything else that's still out there right now. So I love that, and if they can find a way to make that work, man, that would be wicked cool to see Vision in a movie theater again too. Especially if someone like War Machine has to chase after him and try to get him back on his side. Thomas, what do you think about that?
I love it. That could be what they're warring after. Like, you need a MacGuffin, right? Vision, always a MacGuffin. I think that works perfectly, because then it's coming down to whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? Whoever gets him wins. Like, they're OP.
Just like Age of Ultron.
As far as we know, they're OP, right? We don't know. Other idea I just had, Dr. Doom. If this comes out after Fantastic Four, Doom wears armor. Doom could be chasing Vision. Doom could be chasing arc reactor technology at the same time to integrate with his fancy magic. That's how you can work in Wanda at the same time.
Wow. I love it. I love it. It's becoming so intricate already, just because it moved from streaming to a movie theater. This is awesome. But yeah,
I love that so much as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You had another big galaxy brain theory, right? What's that one?
So this one also involves another major player coming to make an appearance in the movie. And we saw from Iron Man 3, the last Iron Man movie we got War Machine dubbed the Iron Patriot. And the Iron Patriot has also been a moniker used by Norman Osborn while he has been in a Iron Man style suit. And so what if we get the introduction of a new Norman Osborn into the MCU? No, Oscorp wasn't the thing yet in No Way Home, but that doesn't mean it can't be starting to be developed with a younger Norman, and this is the storyline we get from him. And maybe that's where we get a reintroduction of Spider-Man of, hey, I don't trust this guy. He's probably up to no good, but because nobody knows who he is, he can't just say that, and he has to be tailing Norman Osborn and trying to save the day in secret.
Wow. Thomas, looks like your brain is broken right now.
There is a government character that I'm trying to put a face to because I can't remember. I just remember, that government character would totally put on an Iron Man suit and call themselves Iron Patriot if they didn't want to go Norman Osborn.
And who's that?
I'm trying to remember. It's not Tyler Bates. I don't think that's his name from WandaVision. That was S.H.I.E.L.D. There's another effing character, and I'm trying to place him. It's not DODC. It'll come to me. How many?
Are you talking about the sword director?
Yeah. Could you not see him? You know, he made a Vision. Now he wants to be Iron Man so bad he calls himself Iron Man.
Yeah, he's like, fine, I'll do it myself. Yeah, that actually is a logical next step for him. Man, I couldn't control the technology I thought I had control over. I might as well do it in my own suit of armor.
You know,
it would be a stretch, but I mean, he did seem pretty knowledgeable about vibranium too. So I mean, he has access to a lot.
Thank you, vibranium. From Captain America: Winter Soldier. Oh, son of a bitch. It could be someone that Val uses.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember who the other guy was in that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But
You're not
I
talking
can
about
see...
Sitwell, are you?
What? No.
Agent Sitwell?
Nah,
that guy's dead.
He might come back as Zombie Man though. That might be cool.
Zombie.
But that's definitely not going to be in Armor Wars.
No. I can't remember. There's another damn government character, but like if they don't want to bring back Norman Osborn, which these days they're kind of iffy on what they're doing anymore. If they avoided that, it could be someone we already know taking up that mantle of, well, now I run S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, after Secret Invasion, who the fuck knows who's going to be left, honestly.
Yeah, that's going to be a toss-up for sure. Before we move on from Armor Wars, in the comments, we have a couple questions. First one comes from David Nestor. Could Armor Wars be renamed as an Iron Man 4? It's giving me Cat 4 vibes with Sam Wilson a bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could call it that because Iron Man, as far as we know, isn't in it. But, I mean... to a certain extent, they are kind of carrying that mantle and continuing that legacy, similar to movies like the next Captain America movie, where, you know, it's a different character that's leading it, but it's still, you know, about the same person and about the same ideas. So, I mean, you could definitely fit it into the Iron Man franchise with what we know, but I don't know if you could call it Iron Man 4 because
the other chip that we have to really kind of take into account that's going to be on the table here is we don't know what the state of vibranium is going to be after Wakanda Forever. Like we know Queen Ramona is talking to a large group of people with a lot of passion, but we don't really know what it's about. And we don't really know where this movie is going to take us. And so there's other connections with like possible rumors and theories of people that could be appearing in Black Panther Wakanda Forever that I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about or anything like that. But on the note that what we can talk about is Ironheart. She's going to be appearing in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Riri Williams. I think this could be kind of in the way that Multiverse of Madness was as much, if not more, a Scarlet Witch movie as it was a Doctor Strange movie. Even if Rhodey and War Machine is kind of postered as the main figurehead for this movie, I think it could be as much, if not more, an Ironheart movie.
I like that too. I like that a lot because the first Black Panther movie ended with him going to the United Nations and basically saying like, hey, we exist. Here's what we have. The world will probably want a piece of that. And Armor Wars could very much be a political war about the state of vibranium. I didn't even think of anything like that, but Riri Williams is the perfect gap. And there's a cover story on Black Panther 2 that just came out or will be coming out this week that pretty much says that Kevin Feige thinks Riri Williams is the perfect like bridge for that gap for like fans because she's an American like us, but she's going into that world and she has a really interesting perspective. If they use her as a catalyst for Armor Wars, they could make it so much more than just about stolen Stark tech. They could make it a global issue about Wakanda's, continued, reserve of vibranium and who they're lending it to. So, wow, that is such a cool take.
Oh my gosh, really another one.
Oh, I love this, man. You are just rattling them off. Let's hear it.
Happy needs a really good lawyer. What if we get She-Hulk? What if we get Matt? Like this could be Daredevil. This could be Jen Walters. We don't know. Like
That's a good point. That's a
as
great
soon as
point.
he said stolen Stark Tech, and made me realize, like,
Yeah.
Peter got off the hook because he was a minor using the Stark Tech, but Happy was the one kind of handling all of it, so he's gonna be in a lot of shit. So
Yeah.
Wow.
that's another kind of aspect that could be part of this. There's so many different things that could make this an amazing feature film.
Let me leave it here. After the Ironheart series, going into Armor Wars, Justin Hammer makes an appearance again. Remember everything he was doing in that in Iron Man 2 already. You know, he made all of those army things, and there's now still a suit somewhere that's got to be an Iron Patriot suit, and he's going after Riri Williams because he can't imagine a child having that kind of power. He's Iron Patriot. We really need to move on. We still have Deadpool and She-Hulk to cover. How long do you think we're going to go on Deadpool, JRB?
We could go an easy 20 minutes on Deadpool, but I think we could also spend a light 15 on She-Hulk. So, do
you want to start She-Hulk first? Let's start She-Hulk first.
Yeah, let's do She-Hulk first.
Let me break down the plot. She and Josh go on some dates. It's a great dating montage. First off, love the fact it's a montage, because when your things are going well while you're dating, it just feels like everything happens so fast. And when it stops and comes to a ghosting halt, man, does everything feel so drug out, right? I know both of you are in like serious relationships and you guys are living life good. I'm a single guy. Life's slow, man. Life is slow sometimes. So I loved that. I loved how they did that. Then boom, she gets ghosted. She ends up having to go to check on Emil Blonsky because his device thing got triggered because he got electrocuted himself chasing a chicken. Princess, so cute, whatever. And it's at a retreat. It's basically the superhero bro gang retreat thing. You've got Manbull, El Aguila, there it is. Porcupine, Saracen, and Wrecker shows up from the Wrecking Crew, and we go through. And I feel like there's two main points that we're going to talk about, and it's this section here: the retreat, the therapy of it all. God, it felt so good to watch. Jen breaks down walls, and then at the end we find out, fuck Josh, and. In live here now, I have to apologize to John, Ross, Bradford, and Jade Ruffalo for not believing them. The Jays understood. You can't trust Josh. Never trust a Josh, kids. Never trust a Josh.
Never trust a Josh. Yeah, no, it was Jade and I. We sniffed it out like a dog, man. We were waiting for someone like Josh to come around, who's just a little bit harder to read than the rest of the guys that She-Hulk had been with. So, yeah, it would have been nice to see Jen catch a break and find a guy that's really into her, but I think I'm going to save that for someone a little more special. TJ, were you surprised by this turn from Josh and how he ended up ghosting her and ended up being a huge player in this plot here, or did you see that coming?
I was unpleasantly unsurprised because he was just too good. He was too good. He was too perfect, and therefore just something kind of had to be off. And I want Jen to be happy, and I want them to let us see Jen be happy, but I don't know if that's really going to happen that in the way that we kind of want it to from a sitcom standpoint. We're getting real true to a sitcom style show throughout She-Hulk here, but I think they're still going to kind of MCU us at the end and leave us with some big things going on. And the part of this episode that just felt a little too great for me was this little get together she has with Emil Blonsky and the crew. Now, it would have seemed fine to me, and I don't think I would have had a red flag go off if there wasn't Wrecker from the Wrecking Crew there. But as we have Hulk King, aka Josh, doing all of this stuff to look real nice to steal Jen's blood, and all of a sudden we got Wrecker, who was trying to steal her blood, is now a part of this little retreat. I'm wondering if maybe Emil is part of this crew that's wanting to get her blood, and that worries me a little bit because he's another person I want to cheer for. But maybe he wants the Abomination to go away. Maybe he wants the Abomination to be bigger. Maybe he wants the Abomination to be better looking. Who knows? Maybe he's just in connections with the leader or Kingpin or Val or whoever the hell is behind this.
Interesting.
But I'm wondering if, with the Wrecker as now part of Emil's crew and them working so hard to keep her there, learn about her, talk with her, get her to kind of bring her guard down in some ways a little bit, as Josh is doing all of this work, maybe it's even just to keep her distracted. I hope it was good character growth for Jen, and Jen got a lot out of that. That was a nice character growth episode.
Yeah,
but
man.
I'm wondering if there was ulterior motive for Emil and co.
I had that on my rewatch. I was like, can I trust these fucking guys? Can I? I mean, especially Manbull. Like, does he want to be Manbull or does he want to be regular dude? That was a great name. I'm sorry, Manbull.
Yeah, I think he was actually credited in the credits.
Bull.
Regular
as
dude.
Manbull.
Just regular Bull. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want any part of the human side. Think outside the box.
Yeah, he's stuck in the box. That's the problem. Wrecker being there really caught me off guard, but at the same time, he did get his ass kicked. And there is a Wrecking Crew member in the comics who does break good. I guess goes good. So
and I think it was the main guy, right?
No, it was the person whose face was completely covered and never once revealed in the comics is a black gentleman, and he's the one who goes good, and everyone was mad that they race swapped that character because they're like, well, he's supposed to go good. And I'm like, well, it's the MCU. If none of them are probably going to go good. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Wrecker goes good and he turns out to be a nice guy. They all seem super nice, but like genuinely caring and working on their problems. They remind me of people who go to therapy, which is always nice to see. Obama Stay was a very fun sign in the back. So from now on, I'm never saying Namaste when I teach another class. It's going to be Obama Stay. Only 2 people will get it, I'm sure. But I really, it'll be you too. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I very much am questioning their motives, but I'm giving them some benefit of the doubt because I can't hate everybody anymore. Like that's not healthy. So I'm pulling for
you
these
should definitely question the Wrecker's motives, but I don't necessarily think that Emil is
he's the
to
only
blame
one
here.
Who didn't say to kill the guy.
Right, exactly. And I think the important part here is that the whole episode we were trying to figure out what Josh's intentions were, and the episode ended with him, showing that he was basically he was double crossing her the whole time, and his plan the entire time was to get some blood and get out. I mean, he took it pretty much as far as he had to take it to do that. But what might have been happening right under our noses is the Wrecker doing the same thing with Emil Blonsky, where he is sneaking into his organization and trying to get Blonsky's blood. Because if the leader can't get Jen's, maybe he can at least get Blonsky's, because Blonsky also has full control over when he changes. So Blonsky, I think, is definitely a red herring where we're supposed to think, oh, he's, up to no good. He's making a bunch of BS excuses that sounds half legit. Chasing a chicken and ran into a fence, really? But that might have actually happened, and it just sounds unbelievable to throw us off. So I think Emil really has turned, and it's going to be, good, from now on for him.
I like that, dude. I like that Wrecker's after Emil.
Yeah, I think he's definitely... I think he might be in the same boat as Jen in this situation, where he really is just trying to find his footing and someone's after him.
I like that turn. I like that theory more than the one that I had originally thrown out there. But just because you mentioned the chicken fence, I wanted to kind of throw another scenario out there. Is we kind of saw El Aguila's sword was very electric, and so that was the other thing that led to. That's the other thing that kind of led to me wondering, is Emil maybe a bad guy? Was he trying to chop that thing off with the electric sword? But also, El Aguila is a mutant, and so that's another kind of random mutant they've dropped into a show here. And then the other part of that crew that we can't not talk about is Saracen, who believes he's a vampire, but maybe he just friggin' is, because Saracen is a character who showed up in 3 Blade comics before. Shout out to Jenna Anderson on Phase Zero for being the one who pointed that out.
Nice. I see. We were thinking, he mentioned his dad, and we were thinking, who's this daddy of yours?
I straight up asked Jade, and she's like, I'm not talking about Blade until Mahershala is happy. And I was like, well, that's not answer my question, but I understand. Yeah, so I love that, because I was like, he's got to have existed. I mean, he's wearing black and gold, kind of looking like T'Challa in certain ways of like the attire and how it looks as the king in some of Black Panther, while also very much giving off vibes of having A, daddy issues, and B, very, very much believing in blood. I mean, and they kept bringing up blood this whole time, and it's really just Saracen, you know. Maybe he just wanted your blood. Not everyone's like your father. Don't talk about my father. Like, there's a lot going on there. I'm a big fan of Saracen. I think he's hilarious. If his dad is Blade, then that's cool, I guess. That means he's
right. There's no real consequence right now.
That makes him a quarter vampire, possibly. Like,
I think he'd more likely just be another random vampire that may be somehow connected to the Blade story. Maybe his dad was connected to the Blade story. But I don't think it'll be his dad was Blade type scenario.
True. Yeah. I mean, I could see him being another Daywalker. Like, that's a possibility.
Yeah, just getting us used to the idea, because they've been dropping little vampire hints along the way.
He was in the sun.
He was in the sun. You're right. It wasn't nighttime. You're right.
So maybe he's only a vampire at night. Ooh, I don't know.
That's why no one believes him. It's like like Shrek situation where Fiona only turns at night. He has to go hide in the room. But,
I see how you brought Shrek back to a She-Hulk discussion. Good job.
Yep,
I
will never stop. That Shrek is MCU canon, baby. And so wasn't it always? Apparently. The Muppets are too now.
Muppets? I mean, was it not brought up before? Didn't they mention Kermit at one point?
I don't know. Have the Muppets come up before? Because it showed Miss Piggy breaking some jail bars in this week's episode, which I thought was hilarious. Have we seen the Muppets before?
The cutscenes in this episode were fantastic. They have been this whole series, but this episode in particular had some really great ones.
The editing was beautiful along the way. That's what caught me the first thing this morning, was like all the text, and as they're walking and it's tracking with them, I'm looking forward to I was looking for it to jostle under the trees, and it blended right underneath the tree. And I was like, oh, that depth of vision is beautiful, how they pulled that off. And then
there was definitely a lot of personality in this episode.
The phone becomes the TV. It was just perfect, man, and beautifully cut together. Also, shout out to did they do a previously on this guy? You know what? I don't care. Previously on this guy, like in the middle of the show. That was fantastic. Made me just absolutely lose it this morning before work. And then
the last part about this episode that I really want to make sure I touch on before I forget, you guys asked how my brain was going before this, and the ADHD is in full force. So sometimes when a thought pops in, you got to make sure you get it out. But I tweeted this earlier today, and it's not that I don't feel like this show is very episodic. I do. I feel like it is incredibly episodic. It's formulated just like a sitcom, but because it's formulated just like a sitcom and is also an MCU show, I can't help but want a little bit more story every week, or wanting it to be 25 episodes. I want more of this show. And so I kind of feel like this was actually the first show to me, even though it wasn't a show like Moon Knight that you could all watch in one sitting and it kind of feels like you just watched a Moon Knight movie. This doesn't feel like that whatsoever, but it is a show that I feel like I'd enjoy more if I binged all together. Just because I want to see it all at once. I really enjoyed that episode. That was a great episode for what it was, but I still want I want to watch the next one now, because that was just 20 minutes of funny and goodness, but what's happening next week? And so I guess that's good for it building anticipation. That's good for it building, anticipation is the word. I can't think of another one for that, but it's just, for me personally, I feel like I'd enjoy it a little bit more if I was binging it, because then this episode I would just love it for what it was, as opposed to feeling like I want a little more.
I love that. This is I've binge watched a lot of the MCU shows after they've come out, And the last one I did that with, like hardcore, was Loki. Because after 6 hours of watching it straight in one day, I was like, I can't do it. Like, this is tough. Once I got to the finale, I was just like, cool, Kang is here. I can't even figure out information because each episode felt like a movie, the amount of information you're getting in character development. This is very much like I'm watching How I Met Your Mother. I'm just like, cool, popcorn. Let me get my popcorn ready. Let me just feel good and go on for like a 25-minute jaunt, like feel good. Ha 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 ha. And then it's very much bingeable. And I find it interesting that the longest show we're going to get is Daredevil, which does not feel like it should be an 18 episode hour-long series. Like if it's half hour in some form or fashion, I think A, that'll piss everyone off, and B, it'll feel weird. But like this She-Hulk very much feels like we should be watching it every week for 25 weeks. It reminds me of How I Met Your Mother. It ends and I'm like, cool, I can't wait for next week. But like I had so much fun this week that I can watch this week again and be okay. Yeah. And I can't say the same with like Moon Knight. Moon Knight, it ended and I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm ready for next week. And then I watch it again and I'm like, I shouldn't have rewatched it. Like now my anticipation is worse. And it's, you know, if we're going to compare apples and oranges across the universes, Andor, House of the Dragon, those are the two where it ends. And I go, oh my God, are you kidding me? I got to wait 7 days for this. Where when I look back at some of the MCU stuff, I'm like, I got to wait 7 days. Loki was the one. Cause I'm just like, get me Kang or give me death. And the rest of them like, oh, I got to wait 7 days, but you know what? I'm okay. I can mull a lot of this over and like chew on it. And then there's She-Hulk where I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I'm so ready. Like, make me laugh, please. Life is sad. JRB, what do you think about the streaming versus the weekly versus binging method of the Hulk, the Shulk?
I'm never an advocate for binging things just because I really like the weekly structure. I like having a 7-day period to really fully digest, whether it's a half hour or a full hour. I like splitting it up because like you mentioned, TJ, this series has become very episodic where I feel like every episode has covered like a different aspect of Jen's life. So by the end of this 9-episode arc, we're going to get a really well-rounded picture of who Jen is as a person. So I really appreciate it in that sense. And I feel like a lot of those details would be overlooked, especially in an episode like this week, if you were to release them all at once. So I appreciate having the time in between. But I do understand where a show like this, first of all, if it's going to follow, 25, 30 minutes of content every week, it should be more than 9 episodes. Like they used to be called, seasons of television because it would last a whole season, where it's a show would be running anywhere from, 3 to 5 months, where you can tune in every week. As I feel like with these shows, as soon as you get into that groove of tuning in every week, it's over. And then you have to, watch back through it. And so that structure of it, or, that aspect of it, I totally get. And I feel like the whole time we've been going through this show, we've had the same questions the whole time. Who's the bad guy? How is She-Hulk going to relate to the MCU? And where the fuck is Daredevil? So like as we're going through each week, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of real developments because we're still just waiting for that final episode where we find out what's going on. And if they put a little more story into the week to week stuff, it would feel more satisfying. And we would go from that episode going, I feel content with the content that we just got, content with the content. That'll be our new slogan. Are you content with the content? Because it's a great story. I feel like we're just not getting enough of it. So I can totally relate to TJ in that sense, where if they would spend an extra 5 to 10 minutes each week, just really digging into the character, I think it could really benefit them. And we wouldn't be left wanting a little bit more when the credits roll.
I think they accidentally dug themselves into a hole that they couldn't get out of, deciding to make Jen have to be the She-Hulk while she was at work, because when all of a sudden the VFX is tough to get going on time and everybody's overworked, everybody's underpaid, all of a sudden you can't get a lot of these great courtroom scenes, these great office scenes between Pug, Nikki, and Jen, because she's supposed to be the She-Hulk while she's there.
Yeah, where's Pug?
And like exactly, like another great character. We didn't see much of this episode. Nikki as well. We love Nikki. We didn't see her this episode. And so I guess when the greatest when the biggest criticism you have of a show is I want more of it, that means it is doing something well. And I think the binge thing, that is just more of a me problem. I'm watching another show I'm adoring right now is Reboot on Hulu, and it's the same thing. It's like, oh, the 20-minute episode is over and now I have to wait till next week. It's like, if you're only giving me one episode a week, damn it, make it an hour. But again, I guess like that's a me problem more than anything else. And what I do think She-Hulk is really accomplishing is the same thing that all these other Disney Plus shows have aimed to accomplish, and that's at the end of WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff was the Scarlet Witch. At the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson was Captain America. At the end of Moon Knight, we learned more about Moon Knight was always Moon Knight, but we learned more about it and we understand the character now. Loki, we already knew who he was, but it set up phase 4, phase 5, phase 6 and beyond. And so this, like, there's some exceptions, but I think She-Hulk is Ms. Marvel. Kamala Khan by the end of Ms. Marvel was Ms. Marvel. And so I think this show is doing what it's going to set out to do, which is the same as most of the other Disney Plus shows that introduce a character. And that's, by the end of this show, Jennifer Walters is the She-Hulk.
Love that. I totally agree.
Before we move on, you're talking about your favorite half hour that you're watching every week, or your other favorite half hour. I got to give a quick shout out to What We Do in the Shadows. I might have just dropped a comment on Twitter quoting some What We Do in the Shadows stuff. And if you've seen it and you know who Nandor is, you're totally going to get the joke. If you don't, sucks to be you. Go watch it on Hulu, all 4 seasons. Absolutely binge worthy show. It's wild all the way through, but fucking Josh, fuck that guy. Let's move on to Deadpool 3. Speaking of fucking, are we gonna get another whole just like there's a lot that could happen in this movie, but Wolverine is back. Hugh Jackman is playing him. He's playing him again, man. He's back. He's coming for Deadpool 3. Possibly the final time we'll ever see him. Maybe in Secret Wars. We'll see. They've had some great marketing already for it. What do we think about that? Let's toss it to TJ because I want to hear his thoughts. I know your thoughts, JRB.
I think the marketing was awesome. It came out of nowhere and blew everybody's mind. Maybe it was timed to make us not notice the Blade stuff as much. Who knows? I doubt that was really the case. I think it was probably more coincidental. It was 3 years to the day later of when they announced Tom Holland coming back to the MCU as Spider-Man. So maybe September 27th is just a big day for Marvel. I'm not sure. And so I loved it. I thought it was really cool. On the note of What We Do in the Shadows, if you ever want somebody to chat about that with, my co-host from Agents of Fandom, Garrett, loves What We Do in the Shadows. Him and his partner, Nina, they adore that show. And so you'll get that plug in there quick. Chat with Garrett about that. But I loved how they did it. It was, perfect. Yeah. It was so classic Ryan Reynolds with the way that they did it. The next video they dropped the next day was a lot of fun as well. But for me personally, I'm sure you can tell already, my brain popped a bunch of different theories out since we just heard about this Armor Wars stuff already. So where my brain goes first is what you said earlier about the X-Men, the Deadpool killing the Foxverse. And I think that would make for a great story. The two things that I'm kind of thinking it could lead to is one, just like that could reset, hands clean, set the stage for brand new mutants in the MCU. I think it can make for a lot of great jokes of Deadpool fighting kind of like as a main boss, going through all the different X-Men timelines and having to fight a bunch of different Hugh Jackman Wolverines each time. And like maybe Hugh Jackman's not back as Wolverine, maybe he's back as a bunch of Wolverines. And I think it would be so cool to end that with just like the final one he shows up in would be the Logan one, and then Laura Kinney just comes in and absolutely wipes the floor with Wade Wilson. I think that would be incredible. I think that'd be super cool. But I think I'm just so incredibly excited about the movie, and I feel like it will set the stage for one of two things, and that'll be either a bona fide reset of there's going to be a new Wolverine in the MCU. This guy's done for sure. And or he's not done. He's fully back and he will be Old Man Logan in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Wolverine we're going to be getting in the main timeline will be Laura Kinney's Wolverine.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
I like the Laura Kinney twist on it. I definitely, if we're going to stick to the idea, I like what you have with bouncing through the multiverse and timelines and just fighting multiple Wolvie variants. I've had that idea, and I think it might bring, it's falling right after Thunderbolts into Phase 5, right before the start of Phase 6. It feels in, what is it, September of 2024, and July of 2025 is supposed to be Kang Dynasty, right? And so within a year, we're going to have Secret Wars, if I'm not mistaken. I think it could bring up, at the end of that movie, they get pulled out of the timeline. Kang is upset, thrown into the Secret Wars situation. And that is where we will next see Deadpool, Wolverine, and possibly other mutants. Like, oh, we get introduced to mutants through this universe, through the Secret Wars. And then when we drop back into the regular MCU, because of the rumored can't get new actors until 2025 situation, that is when we might see the introduction of new X-Men, new actors playing classic characters, get our Taron Egerton Wolverine meeting Hugh Jackman Wolverine, right? And from there, start the X-Men in a new way because, it's the mutant saga now. Now we're learning about our mutants, our X-Men. It's very interesting how they're pulling specific actors who are perfect for their character from the X-Men universe in. And if he's killing the Fox universe, that means he can also kill the Fantastic Four before the new Fantastic Four movie. Like, what is it, 2 months before it comes out?
That'd be cool. Maybe they bring in John Krasinski just to die again one more time. I think that would be hilarious. The possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. Yeah. You saw Krasinski retweeted it and was like, wait, is this our movie? And it's like, no, big guy, I'm doing this. And it's like, what is happening here? And the first thought I have is Krasinski's coming in, Deadpool kills the Fox universe, and he kills John Krasinski as Reed Richards yet again. Poor guy.
So,
can't catch a break.
Don't get me wrong. I definitely think it was just a free, fantastic plug for him to be able to use on Imaginary Friends, the movie that he and Ryan Reynolds have coming out this year. But having said that, if they're already working together and they're already friends, what's to say that like this came because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are such good friends, because Ryan Reynolds and Brad friggin' Pitt are friends. He made a cameo in Deadpool 2. So I feel like that's something that absolutely could happen. He shows up one more time as Mr. Fantastic, and the two of them just absolutely shred him apart like spaghetti, just like Wanda did.
You know who else should show up? Also a friend, also showed up for a one scene cameo. Human Torch, baby. Chris Evans.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a real touchy one.
People, I feel like, kind of annoyingly think that Secret Wars is going to be something totally different than it's not, which is totally okay. They're going to make something brand new, and it's not going to be a one-for-one adaptation of anything. And there will be tons of different character cameos in it, like maybe Hugh Jackman as Wolverine now, like maybe Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark coming back, like Chris Evans as Captain America. I think those are all possible. But the Chris Evans as the Human Torch ones that people love to throw out there and stuff like that, that's absolutely not going to happen. But the places that could happen would be Deadpool 3.
Yeah, 2 months before it's so beautiful how it's 2 months before the Fantastic Four shows up. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe he shows up at the end in the MCU and is like, wait, you guys are new. You don't look the same. And is that how we get introduced to the Fantastic Four? Is at the end of Deadpool 3?
Yeah, no thanks.
Like that's their introduction. Is he just like, wait, where's the Fantastic Four? Who?
Right. Yeah. Just like how Tom Holland's Peter Parker was like, I was in the Avengers, and the other Spider-Men were like, what's that? Were you in a band?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
could very well
So
be that
cool.
they
I'm gonna be a
introduce
fan.
the idea of Fantastic Four to the MCU. So
Yeah.
anything could happen.
And the thing that exactly like the way they ended Deadpool 2 with him going back in time to kill the mouth sewn shut version of him, which he introduced the video with as his caption, which was absolutely hilarious.
Right.
That's
He's
kinda
already
what gave me-
started. He's already started
Exactly.
killing the Fox universe.
Exactly. That's kind of what gave me the idea of it not just being. I don't know where the killing the Deadpool killing the Foxverse theory started. I loved it from the first place I heard it, and it's been my one that I've kind of latched onto ever since. But that's what gave me the idea of like the kind of timeline hopping and it being a multiple different killing of the Foxverse is using the jokes and leaning into that it made no sense for the purpose of Deadpool. And then you get to have all these other great stories with it. A bunch of different Wolverines have your fun character comeback cameos in a much lower stakes place than a Secret Wars or a Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, for me, I've been dying for Deadpool kills the MCU because I'd love to see him fight and kill every single character that we've met in the MCU. But as soon as it came out and I was like, oh, it's before Fantastic Four, he should just kill the Fox universe. And then I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Saw it on Twitter and I was like, I'm not the only one thinking it. Fantastic. Let's go. Let's ride.
I'm going to say you were one of the founding
ride.
fathers of the theory. I don't know where it originated, but we'll give you one of the core members.
I'll take it. I can be a variant of those folks. It works for me. But you mentioned the timelines and hopping through them. Deadpool 1, I'm going to take you to the professor. McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing. He's ready. He's ready to kill it. And the best part is it leads right on in from the Fox universe to the MCU in the same way that Spider-Man is the bridge between Sony and the MCU. Deadpool's the bridge between Fox and the MCU. And the fact that it was dropped on the same date we found out Tom Holland was coming back as Spider-Man is not a coincidence, since Deadpool is a ripoff of Deathstroke and Spider-Man just combined in the comics. So that's beauty. That's art. That's poetry. It rhymes. JRB, you haven't spoken much. Sorry, bud.
That's okay. No, I have an article coming out. I finished it up last night. It's edited and ready to be published. There's not a lot, but there's a decent amount of fans saying that this is a questionable decision from Marvel because it might hurt Wolverine's legacy that was cemented in Logan. We'll probably talk more about that once my article's live, because I'd love to go in depth on that a bit. But TJ, do you think that this is a kind of a risky decision on Marvel's part, or do you think that they have a good plan in place? Because we've seen it work in recent years with things like Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Do you think that Deadpool 3 is another good spot for them to do something like this?
I trust it. And my biggest thing is with all of this stuff, whether it's Daredevil coming to the MCU or Wolverine coming to the MCU, is whatever happens doesn't wreck anything that happened. If Tom Brady, who won the Super Bowl and decided to retire and comes back this year and has a crappy year because all of his weapons are hurt, guess what? He's still the best quarterback ever. You can go back and watch Logan, and it's still a top 3 superhero movie ever. Because of just how it was done. Right. It was its own timeline anyways. It wasn't part of all the other things. And so it doesn't, whatever happens now doesn't affect that. It's still an impeccable movie. I'm excited to see what they do with this. And I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Marvel's not actually going back in time and taking anything away from us. They're just using a familiar character that a lot of fans want to see more of, especially with Deadpool. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. Thomas, do you have any thoughts on that?
If I could turn back time, I could find a way to bring back Jackman, because he's still Jackman, because he's like 70 years old and in better shape than all 3 of us combined. That's all I got.
I want to be in the writer's room for Kevin Feige so bad. And so I do have to get out of here soon, so I want to plug something quick and then give you one last theory idea that I just had.
Ooh, we got a bonus. All right.
And so back to She-Hulk quick. One of the interviews I have up at agentsofandom.com that I forgot to mention is Madison with a Y and 2 N's, Patty Guggenheim from the Edmonton Expo. We chatted, and that's up there as well. And then an interesting one was with David Hayter, who he was the voice of Snake in Metal Gear Solid, but he also wrote 2000's X-Men movie. And he was King Shark in the CW's The Flash series. He wrote the Watchmen movie. Just so many different things. He's so crazy versatile career. But we talked about how he had a meeting with Kevin Feige at the beginning of the pandemic, because that's where Feige got his start, was 2000's X-Men. And then he basically ended our interview saying, like, you know what, you've inspired me to send Kevin an email like right at the end of the day today, so that we can link back up to talk about stuff. And now all of a sudden Wolverine's coming back to the MCU, and I'm wondering, like, wow, what if David ends up being on this movie in some capacity? That'd be so cool.
Oh man.
And so where I think it would be a perfect, they mentioned the idea of this being like a buddy cop or style road trip movie. And if there is one Wolverine that is kind of picked and sticks with Deadpool throughout the movie, I think it'd be so perfect to pick the one, like, pick the guy who's happy right after Days of Future Past. Everything is reset, everything's all good, and then Deadpool bursts in. Yeah, Feige told me there's secret wars and incursions coming or some shit. We gotta kill a bunch of people. Come with me. And he takes them out of his happy little place, and he brings them.
That could be the timeline he's on.
Kill a bunch of people.
That could totally be the timeline he's on, because in Deadpool 2, he goes to the mansion and we see all the X-Men in the background. It's more or less that exact same team. Wow. That would be crazy if it...
Wait, in Deadpool 2?
Yeah.
No, it's the Apocalypse crew.
Oh, you're right, because Professor X still's got his hair and everything,
that's where they'll go kill.
Yeah, they'll go murder him right there. We gotta save them. They bring Apocalypse about. What? Don't worry about it.
Man,
TJ,
there's so much potential.
Yeah, TJ, where can everyone find you? We got to get you out of here so you can go fantasy football. Let me check my roster while we're going.
Waddle's in, you don't have to worry. But I'm on a DF. Tua's in too.
Yeah, give us your quick thoughts on Tua's tonight. I'm
on a DFS show for Roto Grinders later today. I'm legally not allowed to talk about my picks for anybody other than them, and it's a free show, so you guys can tune in after this.
Awesome.
If you want. I'll retweet it. But
very cool.
You can find me on all social, TJ_Zwarych5. The Agents of Fandom is Agents of Fandom everywhere but Twitter. It's at Agents Fandom. We go live on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch all the time. You can find our podcast everywhere you get your pods. JRB, definitely send me that Deadpool article when it's posted, and we'll share it from AOF. And we got to get both of you guys on the podcast ASAP, because this was a blast.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you and a pleasure having you on, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you, man. We'll let you go. Have a great night. Good luck in fantasy this week. It's week 4. It's gonna get crazy, man. It always gets crazy in week 4.
It is.
It's gonna be awesome.
Injury week.
Every week's injury week these days.
It's real now. These
days. Yeah. All right, brother. You have a good one, man. And see ya.
Talk to you later. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
That was TJ Zwarych. What a guy, man. What a guy. We always love getting a good Canadian on here.
Certified guy.
Us out. Certified guy, not a certified G. Liam understands why we can't say that. That guy understands. I was about to say that guy sucks, and not saying which guy sucks. It's a pro wrestler who did some stuff that we don't like to talk about.
Gotta be specific.
Gotta be very Pacific Northwest. We're here, man. JRB.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say on this next one. We're in, by the way, kids, really fast, before we jump to what the news, House of the Dragon review. Let me just be honest.
Yes.
Holy fuck. 10-year time jump. Shit goes crazy. David Tennant's son is in it, jerking off out of a window. 100%. A couple guys get burned alive. I was telling you about Raina, I think maybe, and like how she's really pretty and she's beautiful. And then now in this episode, 10 years later, she's pregnant. She has her dragon burn her to death so she doesn't have happen to her what happened in the premiere of getting a C-section, which I don't think he was going to choose the C-section. I could be wrong, but he looked around and was just like, will the mother survive? No. And he goes,
well, yeah, it was such a dumb plan the first time. I mean,
yeah. And Damon this time is like, well, I can't do what my brother did. That would be stupid. And he literally kind of needs her, and she pushes him. And I think he likes having her around more than the kids for multiple reasons. And I think he's just like, kill the baby. Honestly, kill the babe. I don't care. And she goes out a Dragon Rider's death. And there's only twice that this has ever happened where I'm like sitting up in bed, just trying to relax and watch a show. And I start banging my head against the wall going, no, why? No. Stranger Things multiple times in the last 2 episodes in there. I was like, no, don't do it. Why? Don't do it, Vagar. Don't do it. Oh, I'm not well.
Oh, man.
She was already my favorite fucking character because everybody else was pissing me off being little bitches and snitches. Next week it picks up right away, and then I heard episode 8 has another time jump, so those kids that we just met last week are getting older, and then JRB, no more time jumps. Then it is
no more time jumps.
No more time jumps. Every character is the age they need to be, which means shit goes down because the war starts.
Oh, so were the first like 4 to 5 episodes like backstory for what's happening in the back half, or
basically, yeah. So
okay,
I don't know how long. At the end of this season, we are getting Nathan Johnson, the King of Dragons, on. What a name! I just came up with that on the top of my head.
King of Dragons. I
King
like
of Dragons. He's coming on. He's gonna teach us what the fuck just happened because he knows what happens next. He knows everything that happens. He's read the books,
so this series is based on one of the books too.
This is based on some kind of story by George R.R. Martin, and he knows what's going on. And he's like, he saw something on Twitter, something to do with rats. All I know is something to do with rats is coming forth because it's been foreshadowed, and people are like, I can't tell you what it means, but yeah, it's going to be gross.
He's a rat. Are you a cop? You got to tell me if you're a cop.
Do I look like a cop to you? ¿Dónde está los
So what was the most intense part of this episode? Was it the mom choosing death by fire, or was it other guys, separate persons burning alive? Because apparently that happened, or was it something else?
Yeah, I got to go with mom burning her. I mean, it opens with childbirth. You get a lot of sounds. You get a lot of audio mixing that made me very queasy, which is, I mean,
see, I can do most of the visuals. It's the audio that gets added on where a lot of times it's too much for me. Like even The Boys is too much sometimes.
Yes.
Where you hear a lot of gushy, gooey, like
it was that. We're going to stop. It was that. You could hear the baby coming out. And I was like, nope, I've seen it in 7th grade. When they force you to sit down and watch it.
I skipped that day of class. Fun fact.
I didn't. I was like,
that day.
I said I was brave. And then I was like, oof, the sound is what killed me here.
Doesn't always pay off to be brave, kids.
Doesn't always pay off to be brave. Sometimes you get Hugh Jackman, I guess. I don't know what that means. Just deal with it. Just accept it. Think about it. Manifest it. Be Hugh Jackman. Sing very well. But absolutely, it was mother choosing death by fire. Hurt me on the inside, hurt me on the outside. My eyeballs were not ready to cry. I didn't know I was going to be crying this episode or banging my head against the wall. I'm glad my Giancarlo Esposito autograph didn't fall and break on my skull. It would have been painful.
Do you watch this Sunday night, or do you watch it Monday morning?
I watch it Sunday night. I even listen, I love football, but after a whole day of football, I will gladly turn off whatever games at the end of the day. Because lately they haven't been super great games.
The Sunday night games have been trash so far.
Even the Cowboys opening week, I turned off because I was like, ugh.
There hasn't been a good Sunday night game yet. The Thursday night games have been better than the Sunday night games so far, including tonight's. I don't care how this game goes. The matchup alone is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do care how this game goes. I got stakes in this game. I got Mixon and Waddle.
That's
all right,
true.
I care.
That's a good point. You're right.
I care way too much.
I'm I'm starting Tua this week, and it's the first time I've started him instead of left him on my bench. So we'll see. He's doing good, so I'm hoping he keeps it up.
Here's what I'm gonna say: House of the Dragon is fucking amazing. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, depending on how the Daredevil She-Hulk episode goes, because it is next week, it is confirmed, episode 8. Depending on how that goes, when Garrett Blaney comes on from Agents of Fandom in this hour of next week's show, he the plan right now is just She-Hulk, but I'm gonna try and sneak in House of the Dragon because we've yet to talk about it with anyone.
I know you've just been telling it to me.
I've been telling it to you, so
I would love to have you bounce it off of someone.
Same, because right now it's just my Twitter DMs and a lot of memes, bro. A lot of memes. There's so many good memes out there, but I'm hoping to talk about it with him, but there may not be the time for that, depending on how Daredevil goes. And if not, I'm definitely getting some folks on after. I'm thinking after the time jump when we're settling in to the week to week vibe is when we'll be going with that. But we've talked all that stuff. DC League of Super Pets. I think we should talk about that in our recommendations because it's 100% my recommendation. And I would kind of want to get through the news because I don't think we have long to go in this news, my guy. I don't think
so either. There's a lot of points that I want to bring up, but not a lot of big discussions to be had. There's just a lot of things happening right now.
Yeah. And, allegedly from Jeff Snyder, he said that Harrison Ford was possibly wanted to be the recast as Thunderbolt Ross in Thunderbolts.
Right. Right.
And
Well, there's speculation around that.
Yeah. I would love to ask Harrison Ford what he thinks about that. Harrison, I don't care. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Exactly. I don't think it's so much Harrison wanting the role as it is Marvel wanting the role for him, but
exactly.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he accepted it. This is kind of a surprise, to hear that Marvel, obviously, for those who don't know, William Hurt, the guy who's played Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU since 2008 in Incredible Hulk. He's been in 5 MCU movies. He was in a Marvel one-shot, The Consultant. He's been around for a while. He passed away back in March. And today, or just earlier today, Jeff Snyder from The Ankler reported that Marvel Studios apparently wants to recast the role for Thunderbolts that's coming out in 2024. And their lead guy they want to take the role over from William Hurt is Harrison Ford. And first of all, I think the most shocking news, and I tweeted this earlier, I think the most shocking part of this is the fact that they're going for another actor who's 80 years old. He's up there. He's really up there in age. He's not the oldest. I think Robert Redford is the oldest actor. Oh, up until She-Hulk, actually, because the guy in episode 4 or 5 was like 103.
Yes.
But Harrison Ford is 80 years old now. And
the character's old too.
Well, I understand the character's old, but if you have big enough plans for him to recast him for one more movie, it's interesting that they're going with another guy who's so old. I feel like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Do you see that Thunderbolts really wants Secretary Ross to be involved, so much so that they're going to recast the role for it? Do you like this? Do you not like this? Do you think it's a good idea? How are you feeling?
I find it interesting that I don't know if I find it interesting, but I'm not like, yes, it's very interesting why they're doing this.
Not like me. Not to build a full length article about it like me, but when you see
here's what I mean,
Ross
because
here,
here's what I mean, because William Hurt died in March of this year from colon cancer or from prostate cancer, excuse me. Chadwick Boseman died of colon cancer. Both of them, as far as I'm aware, were unexpected. I believe it was announced like right before he died, William Hurt, that he had terminal prostate cancer and then died from it. So it wasn't that long, whereas Chadwick Boseman came as a shock to everyone while they were in production. So maybe they've known about this and they've already talked about it and they planned on recasting. And, it's like, hey, man, like we're going to have to probably recast this character, and the plans were in motion already. I don't know. I find it intriguing. I want to know more about what led to the decision of this. I understand why they chose not to recast Chadwick. I hope they never recast T'Challa. with another actor.
No,
At
I
all.
don't think
Like,
that.
I don't need that. We don't need a variant. I'm good. We had the perfect one. It needs to be at least a decade before it happens, in my opinion. So on this end, I find it not surprising that they want Thunderbolt Ross to be involved in the Thunderbolts. I could have seen them, saying, "Oh, well, Thunderbolt Ross died, and this was his idea from the very beginning, so that's why we're calling you the Thunderbolts," right?
Right.
But if they're not going that route, why not get Harrison Ford? Why not utilize the idea that, oh, Kang came in and dropped in a new variant? That's why he looks different.
Mhm.
Because I needed him to do this for me so that I could do what I needed to do. I mean, if you're going to turn Thunderbolt Ross into a Red Hulk, why not get one of the best looking smuggler, scoundrel, whip cracking sons of bitches in the world, Harrison Ford? Like, do I think Harrison Ford wanted to do this? No, not at all. Like he said in Indiana Jones, I'm not falling down for you people anymore. So not surprised that it's not happening.
Yeah, it is weird that Harrison Ford is the front runner. I mean, that's a big name. That's
Is
a little
it
bit
weird. He's the guy.
I
right?
mean, it's not weird, but it is ambitious because like you mentioned earlier, where the MCU's Wolverine, we have guys like Taron Egerton and Daniel Radcliffe in talks for fans who, or for front runners for who fans want to see play that role. Harrison Ford that's an ambitious name to go after, and I have to wonder, if they don't get someone as big as Ford, do they still want to recast the role? Because William Hurt is an established actor. He has a long tenure in Hollywood that is not to be taken lightly. But going after a guy like Harrison Ford, it seems like they really want some prominence out of Thunderbolt Ross in this movie. And it almost seems like he's going to be a really important piece to this story. We've only seen a limited capacity from Ross since Civil War. He showed up in Endgame, he showed up in Black Widow, and I want to say he popped up one other place, Infinity War for a moment. Do you think that this role will be an important one, or do you think that they just need someone in that spot so that they can explain, they're named Thunderbolts after Thunderbolt Ross? Do you think that this is actually going to be important to the story, or do you think that it's just more so the story makes sense?
I don't have an answer either way. Because at this moment, I think the Thunderbolts team is fine without some kind of Hulk. I feel like if they were to add anyone right now, a redemption arc from Abomination would be nice. And then throw them in there like, oh, well, I'm a government employee, But the way the character's at right now, I don't think he wants to do that shit. So
Right.
if they need a Hulk, honestly, Red Hulk. So if you want a Red Hulk and you want it to match the comics, you need Thunderbolt Ross.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it is what it is, man. I don't know.
It
To
would
quote
be funny
Harrison
if they...
Ford, at this moment in time, I don't care.
Interesting. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, it is obviously tragic that William Hurt is no longer with us. But this character has definitely been a background character to the story that's being told. And there is a good chance that in Thunderbolts, he'll continue to be that, is a background character who's largely not consequential to the bigger story that's being told. I could be totally wrong about that. Going after someone like Harrison Ford kind of does tell me I am wrong about that. But I guess we'll just have to see. But yeah, Marvel does want more of Thunderbolt Ross. So even though William Hurt is no longer with us, they're still going to find a way to make that work. That's not the only change happening at Marvel Studios right now. That's not the only piece that they're trying to replace at this current moment. Another big piece of news that just dropped recently is that the Blade movie that was announced back at I believe the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con, has just parted ways with its director. And just a week before they were scheduled to start shooting, in the early October, they no longer have a director to helm the project. So I think this, just as far out of left field as the Harrison Ford news was, I think this was right up with it, because fans had been waiting for so long to get some sort of update on Blade, just like they were with Werewolf by Night. I feel like anything in the darker side of the MCU really has just kind of been put on the back burner right now. But from the direct, they say that, as first reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Bassam Tariq has abruptly stepped down as the director of Marvel Studios' Blade film. This news comes just 1 week before the filming was scheduled to begin for the MCU project. They did release a statement about it. They said, due to continued shifts in our production schedule, Bassam is no longer moving forward as director of Blade, but will remain an executive producer on the film. We appreciate Bassam's talent and all of the work that he's done getting Blade to where it is. Tariq also said that it's been an honor working with the wonderful folks at Marvel, and we're happy, or we were able to put together a killer cast and crew, eager to see where the next director takes the film. So both sides, seem to make it look like they had parted on good terms. Obviously, that's what they prefer. So when they can control that, they will. It kind of seems like things just weren't working, because in another report from yesterday, in fact, it was the same report from Jeff Snyder, I think, that said that Mahershala Ali, like you had mentioned earlier, is very frustrated with the production of the Blade movie. And whether it's the scripts, the direction, the crew, the cast, whatever it may be, the main star is not happy. And now some big changes are being made. It's likely that this will lead to some inevitable delays. We probably won't see Blade in his own movie anytime soon because of this. I highly doubt that they're going to start production in the next week. What do you think about this? Obviously, this was a shock to everyone, but although you couldn't see this coming, what do you take away from this? It's weird, right? It's a weird situation, because they were
very weird. I don't know if it's true. I don't know. Outside of the director dropping, of course, I don't know how much of this is true. It sounds like the script is not what they want. It sounds like the direction, obviously with the director being gone, is not what they want. The whole Kevin Feige spread too thin rumor, I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, I am a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. They have a huge plan. You need all of these things to occur and come out and premiere before Kang and Secret Wars. And I don't want to be a selfish prick, but I'm here for Kang. I'm wearing my blue shirt for Kang, damn it. I wore it for Thrawn last night on Rebellion. I'm wearing it for Kang tonight. I'm a Kang sympathizer.
The Blue Man Group.
Give me... Ooh, that's not bad. Who would be the third? Hold on. Hard tangent. Who would be our third Blue Man?
Ooh. Are we thinking DC, or are we thinking indie? What are we thinking here?
Dr. Manhattan, obviously.
There it is.
I don't even like character, but we need another god. So, yeah.
OP as hell. All right, we figured it out.
Yeah. Okay. So give me Kang. I need the Kang Dynasty. I'm still reading the comic. I took a break because my eyeballs have been burning from all this blue light. As my TV is blinding me right now. That's why I keep looking down. I started seeing spots.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can't find my blue light lenses, but nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. I'm a little bit worried. They have this huge plan. There are certain things like Deadpool 3, not worried about that. They've been working on it for a while. That's going to come out. Will Fantastic Four come out when it needs to? They just got a director. Now they've hired writers. Now they're looking on casting. I feel like there are certain projects that Kevin Feige is way more involved in.
Yes. I don't. So it's weird that this isn't one of them. And I do have to admit that, when they brought about the Blade reboot announcement at Comic-Con, I was like, whoa, this is huge.
You know how they have one person to worry about, the work on the timelines?
Yeah.
I feel like they need one person to oversee each universe, each section of the universe, excuse me. The space sector, the multiverse sector, or the magic, the magic sector, the ground
sector, each
Street
different
Fighter,
version. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you need someone to work on the horror aspect, which the supernatural, we'll call it, because
it's true. It's a very new arena for them.
It's very new, and honestly, I'm so excited for October 7th. That is what 2 weeks from
tomorrow. One week from tomorrow.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to watch it and feel super grossed out with Werewolf by Night showing up, and then Man-Thing being in there, and
maybe what's weird? It's the same length as like the majority of their Disney Plus shows. Like it's just 50 minutes long and that's it.
Well, it's
Isn't
a
that
special
strange?
presentation. No, not really. That's a feature film length. You can get so much done in 60 minutes to knock out a single story.
Yeah, but it's 50.
That's still technically feature length when you put it on television. So
see, that's literally the length. Like the majority of Netflix series that go week to week are longer than that. Like that's odd to me that it's not longer. But I don't think that will affect the quality.
The original horror movies that it's based on were like 69 minutes maximum. So you can they're point. Just like, okay, it's a little bit shorter. And we don't need to do all that stuff. We don't need to do all this setup and backstory. You're going to get it throughout. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's like a one-off Halloween stitch.
You're right. It is one. And regardless of what it's going to include, 50 minutes does scream like efficient to me. So like this is going to definitely have a greater MCU purpose where it's going to be introducing new ideas for us to take to other projects that we'll watch. But we're getting a little off course here, but you're right.
Shocking.
Right. That's kind of our MO here, but I'm glad you brought up the report that Kevin Feige might be spread a little too thin, because it does come from that same report from Jeff Snyder saying that Blade is having some issues. While he said that Mahershala Ali is said to be very frustrated with the process of creating Blade, he also claimed in that same tweet that Feige is said to be spread too thin. He does say that it's just what sources are telling him, so he has no way to really verify that other than by the people he's getting it from. And he says, "Don't shoot the messenger." Thomas, I know that you've been adamantly against this take for a long time now, whereas I've been more for it. No, shooting the messenger. No, for Feige being spread a little too thin. I've been more on that train, especially since She-Hulk has come out and how the marketing has been for it. It just seems like the least confident he's ever been in anything. This, to me, makes sense. With what we've seen this year, Feige definitely is spread at least thinner than he has ever been spread before. Whether or not he can handle it, that's totally up to him. This could still be well within his ability. This is a new territory, so we don't know how he's handling it. We won't know until it's over. Yeah. But to that fact, we see these Disney Plus shows coming out that some people are saying are less than the MCU quality they're expecting. We see that we're running into issues with directors and producers where now another director has left a project that that the MCU is overseeing. I want to get a little bit more insight from you on what you think Feige's doing right now, because although I do believe that, yes, he might be spread a little too thin, I do think he can adjust, and it in the long run, it won't affect what we're doing here in the MCU.
Yeah.
But I want to get your input. Do you think that what we're doing right now is too much, or do you think that this is just sort of an adjustment period, or do you think that it's not a problem at all and that this is just how the industry goes?
Too much for... I didn't understand the first
So I guess I want to know that there's this report that Kevin Feige is spread too thin. I want to know essentially how much you agree with that from an industry standpoint. Like, do you think that this is truly too much for him, or do you think that the mismanagement that people are pointing out is not his fault?
They have had issues with directors a lot since phase 2, possibly even phase 1, but I think phase 2. Thor: The Dark World comes to mind. They had Patty Jenkins on for a while, then went a separate way for creative differences. Ant-Man. There's another one I'm thinking of. I think the original Doctor Strange had a
second Doctor Strange was supposed to be Scott Derrickson, and they ended up replacing him with Sam Raimi.
Yeah, but I think the first one was supposed to be a different director also, and then it ended up getting Scott Derrickson.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I do believe so. So there's precedent here. Does it always work? Well, I mean, no, not really. I don't.
It does. It's bad that they were just about to start filming, and all of a sudden they're like, we might need a new director for this.
But I think it comes down to straight up creative differences. Like simple, like, oh, you want to make this kind of movie? That's not what we want. The fact it's coming this late in the process is very worrisome. Like Thor: The Dark World wasn't this late in the process, and even then, oh my God, what is his name? Oh, Alan Jenkins, I believe was his name, who did Thor: The Dark World, wanted a different movie.
He had the same last name as Patty Jenkins? Seriously?
No, then it's not. Alan.
Oh, I was like, wow, that's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
I'll find it for you. But
he wanted a different
what you were
cut
saying.
of the movie. Alan Taylor, thank you. He wanted a different cut of the movie than Feige and MCU did. So there was still some back and forth. And what we got is a little bit of a hodgepodge situation. He wanted the dark, gritty, grimy, like Game of Thrones look and feel. And they were like, we needed to be the MCU. So like, let's do this stuff. And it didn't work out. Like overall, you can tell. You can argue that keeping the director on also isn't going to work for your tone, especially if you're letting the director choose everything, choose the tone, choose the forward, etc. If that's the way they're going, and they let Sam Raimi do it, they let Taika do it, they've let Ryan Coogler do it from the beginning.
Right.
It's hit or miss. Not every director's vision is going to work for the audience. They have a specific audience. I'm Taika's audience. I'm all in. I'm not Sam Raimi's audience. I still enjoyed it for what it was. I don't know if I'm Ryan Coogler's audience. Like it's specifically his demographic, but I love everything I've seen from him. So like I'm in his group. I'm there for it. I honestly think it's going to be fucking amazing. By the way, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I think it's going to be possibly one of the greatest of all times. I've said that plenty of times. I've said it. I don't know if it's going to live up though, right? I thought Eternals would be like that. That's another one. Chloe Zhao. They also apparently had directional issues throughout the movie between Feige and Zhao. So, there's a lot going on. Then there's Daniel Destin Creighton. Okay, thank you. Who nailed it so well. He's doing motherfucking Kang Dynasty. Like, so, it is what it is. I've been vamping, dude. I don't have an answer. I don't.
I had a feeling. No,
I was working my way through it. Like, where do I land? I don't know.
And I appreciate that because I love diving into your mind for things like this. But like, it's just weird, right? Like we're right. Weird. Yeah, just about to finally start making this movie, and all of a sudden they're like, "We need a new guy to run it."
You know what this is? This is the spooky season catching us. Jeff Snyder's out here spooky seasoning us. He's seasoning some spooky onto us, making us worried about Blade, making us worried about Thunderbolt Ross being cast. I mean, he seems to be angry with the.
You're right. This is all coming from one guy. It's
one
Jeff
guy
Snyder of the Ankler. I got to figure out what his gripe is with Marvel right now.
Real quick, do you have any idea what the Try Guys are? Because I do not.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, cool. Some stuff happened on the internet, and I was confused all week.
Oh, great. We have more catching up to do?
No, we don't. It's got nothing to do with the realms that we talk about. It's pop culture, but it's nothing that I know. I think I'm too old for it. So, like, just
too old for this shit.
Like, I'm too old for TikTok. Like, I hop on TikTok, and I'm like, I don't want to listen to these people talk. I don't want to hear. I just want to see.
Just get your big ass head out of the way. I'm trying to see the video. I hate TikTok. I don't get it.
I don't. It's
sorry.
Fine. We're too old for that.
Into an 80-year-old man for a second. Like,
get off my lawn. You know whose lawn we really got to get off of?
What?
Caesar's. Caesar's coming back in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I had to work on that. Production is going to begin October 2022. That's like 2 days away.
That's next month, boy. I cannot believe.
You're like, that's next month. I'm like, that's 2 days, buddy.
Right. Like I totally forgot we're getting another Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah.
It's the first one since Disney bought Fox. Dude. I think that the Andy Serkis Planet of the Apes trilogy is potentially the best reboot of all time. It's also has some of the best modern age CGI of all time. There's not a single real ape anywhere in that movie. It's all computer generated. And so I cannot believe that we're getting another one, and it's coming out as soon as 2024, which is pretty much just 2 years away from now. We're at the end of 2022. We're in the final quarter. This movie's not far out, and they're going to start making it almost immediately. They said in a surprise tweet, a new saga begins. The title is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So we had Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes, and now we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So they said picking up many years after the War for the Planet of the Apes, starts production next month and stars Owen Teague, Freya Allen, and Peter Macon, or Macon. I'm not familiar with that name, but directed by Wes Ball. It arrives in 2024. So notably, Andy Serkis was not listed there. Do you think that's because he's playing a CGI ape, or do you think that they're not going to have Caesar in this one? Because the image they released for it looked like Caesar.
The image did look like Caesar. I concur with that. And I'm going to be honest. I could very much see Caesar not being in this. This could be after Caesar.
Like
And
the legacy of Caesar? Like where he's just kind of like
there's precedent here, by the way.
He's the king, yeah.
Yeah, in the original, Caesar doesn't live through all the Planet of the Apes movies, if I'm not mistaken. He dies at a certain point because the actor didn't want to come back, so they carried on the legacy in the story. So I think that could be one of the things that we're having happen here. And to see what it's like are there humans left? You know, like this could be where Charlton Heston comes in. I mean, the what is his name? The character that Charlton Heston plays in Rise of the Planet of the Apes leaves the planet around the same time that the outbreak happens. So this could be him coming back. Like that could be what Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is, right? Like that would be let's get butts in seats. Well, let's get that guy in. I just looked up Owen Teague because I know that name from somewhere, and I was like, he's been in one before, right? No, not that I can see. He does look wicked familiar, and he's really young, dude. Very young. Yeah. He's born in 98. So Owen Teague, he's been in it would seem I've seen him in promotions for It. He was in Lock and Key, a TV movie in 2017, and I'm not seeing a damn thing that I've actually seen. Oh, you know what? I've probably seen him in College Humor skits. Okay, there it is. Good.
So a more or less lesser known actor, which I always like to see because that means
a lot of credits.
They're not just banking on big names.
Oh no, there's a lot of credits here since 2012. TV series, like legitimate solid credits, and his demo reels up here, and he looks super burnt in one of these, so hell yeah. But he's been in It Chapter 2 and It Number the One, I guess is a good way to put It Chapter 1, I guess.
Numbered the one.
Numbered the one.
I have to say that I'm just so excited for this because I adore the first three films. Regardless of what this is going to entail, I'm really excited to see what they have to bring to the table because they said a new saga begins. You know, it's not just one more movie. This is a new story that's going to take a while to tell. And I like how you brought up that this is like a mossy city because this definitely looks like it's just further developing the story of life on Earth after the human race, you know, where the humans are a minority now. And I know it's been a while, but I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. But these first three movies really set the stage for, you know, how the rest of, you know, planet Earth adapts to not having humans around anymore. And this is a really cool representation of that. And I mean, look at this. There's an ape using is that a falcon? Like they're learning how to send, whether he's sending messages or having it hunt or look for something. Like these apes are advancing just as humans used to, and it's almost like we're looking at like a different perspective of like almost evolution. Like a futuristic like re-evolution. And I think that's awesome. So. Yeah, a new saga definitely promises multiple stories and a bigger overarching narrative. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what they have to do with this.
So really quick, dive into this creative team really quick because I'm like, these names sound so familiar. All right, let's start with one of the screenwriters, Josh Friedman. He's been writing since 1996. He did the story of Chain Reaction. The screenplay of War of the Worlds 2005, The Black Dahlia 2006, Lock and Key 2011. Lock and Key, that TV movie, by the way, the teleplay. Also, Owen Teague was in, so I find that very interesting how that works out.
Interesting.
Terminator Dark Fate 2019 did the story by. He did, looks like 30, developed the Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles from 08 to 09, 31 episodes. Emerald City developed 10 episodes of that, wrote 2 episodes of that. Foundation, another one from 2021 he did. Snowpiercer, he developed that, 30 episodes.
The show,
yeah.
And he's
Avatar,
also on
Way of
Avatar.
Water.
Yeah, he's on Avatar too.
So that is, let me go, and he's doing this with Rick Jaffa. What has Rick Jaffa been on? Keep scrolling. Rick Jaffa did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Jurassic World, Mulan, War for the Planet of the Apes, Avatar 3. Let's see, what else has he done? Yeah, that's his big writing that he's done. So like together, that's a squad to be writing this new movie.
Yeah.
Wes Ball did all the Maze Runners, it looks like. He was the director of those. Freya Allen is Siri in The Witcher. I've not seen that, so I would guess that's a big a big character. Her credits are a little bit shorter, but based on her being in The Witcher, Jesus Louises, scared me. Based on her being in The Witcher, I have to imagine she's crushing it. Let's jump to Peter Macon. I knew that name so fast. I was like, I know that name. Hold on, why? How
do you know it?
He's been acting since '94. All right, doing voice acting as well. He's been in Supernatural, Dexter, Turok, Son of Stone. Oh my God, what a throwback. Is that what I'm thinking of? I don't care. Was on The Shield in the Minority Report show, but he was also Dominique's father in Shameless, the TV series, for it looks like 8 episodes.
I like Dominique. She was one of the better characters for me.
She was fantastic. He was a voice in Wolfenstein 2. He plays Preston Lloyd in Family Guy. But here's how I know his name. The Orville TV series, he plays Lieutenant Commander Bortus, one of the best characters on that show. In every episode, wears a fantastic prosthetic. Cannot wait to see. Is he going to be an ape? Like, it's going to be crazy. I cannot wait to see this. Learning about this creative team makes me way more excited than I already was. I dropped it into the Reckless Rebellion chat. I was like, can they make a dope Planet of the Apes movie without Matt Reeves? And they're like, hey man, like that was a really good movie. And I was like, yeah, good. I said dope. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not even saying it's mid. I'm saying it's better than most. Like, it was a great reboot to the Planet of the Apes. But what came after is astronomically better than what is already a good, too great movie, right? When I say something's dope, that shit's like fucking 1,000. So seeing this team, I have a lot more faith that it will be very dope. Especially if Caesar's not in it. That just opens a lot of doors, man.
I'm almost glad to see that they're not banking on old characters. Like it seems like they just have a new story to tell, and obviously it's going to be related to the one we already know, but it doesn't seem like that's all they're going to use. So all around, I'm really excited for this. I love this franchise, so I'm always open to more of it. I cannot wait to see this.
Same. I cannot. It's going to be fan-frickin-tastic. You know what I'm saying? That is pretty much all of our news. You can find us at LTA Podcasting on Twitter. Don't forget, while you're there, don't worry, stick around. We're going to review DC League of Super Pets in just a second. You can find us there on, there it is, at LTA Podcasting on Twitter, LightsThunderAction, pretty much every single other place in the world. And again, we're live streaming on Facebook every week until the end of House of the Dragon, as well as HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter and YouTube. All of those can be found at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. Of course, Apple Podcasts, Good Pod, Spotify is where you can find us. JRB, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me at JRB_direct, pretty much anywhere where you can look. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, serialized, letterbox, pretty much anywhere where I can post my thoughts on things that I like. You can find me there. So JRB_direct. What about you?
You can find me at TCRochesterACT. That is TCRochesterACT. Next week's guest is going to be Garrett, and he just tweeted at me, "You walked me into a trap." And my response is about to be, "You did it to yourself. I did not intend for this to happen." I didn't know he was going to yell the rest of it. That's why I put and other stuff. We'll talk about it next week, folks. My recommendation for the audience is watch What We Do in the Shadows, episode 9, season 2, I believe. The Witches episode. It's fucking amazing. Holy shit. My recommendation for the week is DC's League of Super Pets. I watched it on Monday. No, I watched it on Tuesday because the Cowboys won Monday. Super flex on us. And oh my god, dude, it's so good. I was surprised.
It's so good. It's so good.
I was expecting The Rock to be The Rock, like, you know, as Crypto, and he wasn't. He was like, I loved it so much, dude. It was so good. You have Lulu Luthor, which I loved so much, and she's voiced by Kate McKinnon. I was like, who's this?
Recognized it. I mean, my fiance pointed it out right away. She was like, "That's Kate McKinnon," and I was like, "You're right," and she's killing it. That was the perfect casting.
I knew the voice, and I was like, I know this actor, and I'm gonna either remember it or I'm not. But as soon as I see the name, I'm gonna know. And I'm listening. I'm like, I love her so much. I love this character. Why do I love her? And then it's like Kate McKinnon. I was like, of course it's Kate McKinnon.
There were a lot of SNL stars on that cast. There,
where's there?
The cast was, oh man, it was so well rounded. Going through that movie, every character that popped up, I feel like it was just so fun to see so many names that you recognized, you know, because you had Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart leading it, but Kate McKinnon was another big one. You also had, you know, Keanu Reeves and John Krasinski in the Justice League, but they rounded out the rest of the Justice League. So like you also had I'm looking at it right now, Jamil as Wonder Woman. You had John Early as Flash, Daveed Diggs as Cyborg. Jor-El was played by Alfred Molina. Like, there were so many names in here that I love, and it was so cool to see all of them. But Olivia Wilde was Lois Lane. Kevin Conroy made a voice cameo. Vanessa Bayer, another SNL star. She played the pig, which I might have been my favorite character in this whole movie, because it literally was just a pig version of my fiance. The way her brain works was spot on, exactly who I'm about to marry. So that was hilarious to see. But it was so charming and funny and enjoyable. And the story was literally about a dog and his struggles and how a dog would perceive those situations. I was worried that it was still going to have a very human-centric story to it and kind of come across as more of like Disney's Bolt with John Travolta and Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
And it really wasn't that. It really did put it in like a dog's perspective, which I thought was so unique and creative. And last thing I'll say, Dwayne Johnson has gotten really good at this acting stuff. I as a voice actor, you would never know that he's a WWE wrestler. Not to knock them, but like,
wow,
the acting ability is not always top notch when it comes from WWE. With Dwayne Johnson, he's really mastered his craft. He is quite the entertainer, and it really shows in this performance. I loved it. I loved it way more than I thought I would. Way more than the trailers made me expect that I would. The marketing for this, I gotta say, was totally botched, because what I watched on HBO Max was not the movie that was marketed to us.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that? Yeah. The marketing was not everything it should have been.
No. And I'm okay with that, because you get surprises throughout. But like, I didn't realize that Ace the Bat Hound was going to be, I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be like a dog.
Right.
And be like, I love you. I hate you, Superman dog.
Yeah.
But no. Real quick, just who's your favorite character in the movie?
It's either the pig or It's either the pig or it's Ace the Bat Hound.
Okay.
Because Ace was such a well-rounded, like emotionally developed and crafted character. Like I almost cried when they did his origin story. Like it was a heartbreaking story.
No, 100%. When they brought that out, I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I'm not even going to be okay. Why would they do that to the little doggy? But also I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, but then when he had his moment where he connected with Batman and they were telling their origin stories and they were kind of like mirroring each other, I was like, I love that.
That's where the marketing was all at too.
Right.
I'm like, what? So I was like super confused at the beginning.
Right.
My really quick, again, just Diego as Chip. Beautiful. Fucking
literally,
beautiful,
yeah,
dude.
just Hammy from over the hedge, but it was perfect.
He can be Andor and Chip. Like, my favorite character, without a doubt, not even close. It's Merton. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't even. She cusses the whole time and they censor her because she's an old.
It was funny how they censored it. Like,
I love that so much. I was
you
like,
you can still infer what they're saying. So like, it was kind of like that extra little comedy for the adults that were watching. I really liked it.
I really like that. It's like, I don't give a shit. Beep. And I'm like, this is fantastic. It's like,
she was great.
Does it right in front of Crypto, and he just looks over. He's like, she does that, and it's like, this is fucking awesome, dude.
She was awesome. Me? I thought it was Aquafina the majority of the movie just because of the voice, but like the energy was totally the same.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. It was Natasha Lyonne, and I've seen her face in so many things that I don't even know what to say she's from. I guess Orange is the New Black is probably the most apropos.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I thought it was Aquafina, and then when I was looking through her IMDb, I was like, I don't think I know any of this stuff. So there was definitely a mix of very well-known people and people that were not as well-known.
Hold on. You've never seen American Pie?
I have not.
What the fuck?
No, I haven't.
All right.
I have not.
You need to learn why it is not safe to stick anything sexual or in or around or inside of a pie. Okay? You need to watch that movie. You need to understand.
Is that what that's about?
No, there's just a scene that everyone knows. Okay, she was in so this, like I said, I've seen her face so long. She's in Dennis the Menace from 1993. I saw that in 1993 when I was 2. She is in American Pie. She's one of the main characters in American Pie. She plays Jessica. She's in Detroit Rock City, which is a little known movie that is super fucking good that it's about going to see it's about going to see Kiss. Fuck, that was hard. Sorry. She played Jillian in Will and Grace for a single episode. She was in Scary Movie 2. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that.
She plays Megan, the one who, like, if I'm not mistaken, smokes and is like the badass.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the character names.
I don't either. I just remember her face.
I remember her face. Like I said, I've been seeing her everywhere since I was a child.
Then she's in a long stretch of movies and shows that I never watched. American Reunion. I lied. I seen that in theaters. I was old enough to go to that in theaters, actually. So that's cool.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm scrolling, and she's just been in like 6, 7, 8 projects a year, dude. She's crushing it. Working actor, man. That's amazing. She was in Portlandia for 3 years. Well, I guess I'm watching Portlandia because I love her. And then Orange is the New Black. She plays Nikki Nichols, another crazy ass character. She's in Uncut Gems. Dude, she's everywhere.
Oh, she was in Uncut Gems?
She's a voice only.
Uncut Gems.
I'm sorry to get you excited. Sorry to get you too excited. She's a voice.
She's good at that voice stuff.
She's good at voice stuff. She's in Big Mouth also. So, like, there's a lot of great stuff she's in.
Big Mouth.
Merton, the turtle, just skirting along real fast.
I missed those credits because
Where the hell am I? Yeah, where the hell am I?
Holy shit, you guys aren't turtles?
That explains so much.
Oh man, I bursted out laughing when she said that. There were a lot of good like one-liners in this movie, but yeah, so much better than I thought it would be. I almost wish I would have gone to the theaters to see this one.
Oh no, I after watching it, I'm like, I wish I saw this in theaters, dude. This would have been so good in theaters. Like I would have had so much. That was just a fun popcorn child movie, man.
Yeah, it would have been an awesome summer movie to go see. I kind of
Yeah.
regret not seeing it, but I am glad that
Same.
it's on HBO Max now because I'll probably rewatch it.
Absolutely, same. I'm. This is one of those I might buy just to get the special features, dude. Like I cannot wait to watch this.
Yeah.
And again, it's about crypto. That's how they marketed it, but it's really about Ace. Like Ace is
It's
the
about
main
Ace,
character.
and it's also just a DC joyride because they revamp every DC character you meet, and they do things that
Fucking
fans Aquaman.
They got guinea pigs, bro.
Right. They have a fire and ice guinea pig, and it's freaking Mark Schwartz and or Ben Schwartz and I can't remember the other guy's name, but like
Thomas Middleditch.
Thank you. I think they have a stand-up special together on Netflix. So like
really
that duo is really good together.
John Ralphio and the main character from fucking Silicon Valley have a stand-up together.
I believe it.
Oh my god.
Ben Schwartz did a duo stand-up special on Netflix.
Jamila's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Jermaine Clement is Aquaman. God, dude, I love him.
This is from Netflix's own website. Comedy duo Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz. Who?
Dude. Daveed Diggs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the list I just went through. Every name on there.
Did you read every single one?
Most of them, yes, that comedy special you're asking about that is on Netflix currently. You should check that out.
Phillips. Dan Fogler. What the fuck?
Okay, Thomas wasn't paying attention when I went through the cast list. But
did you read every single cast member?
Most of them. But this movie is insane. I'm still I'm struggling to even put into words how I managed to miss this when it was in theaters, because we've talked about it and I was like, I'll probably go see it. And it just flew not under the radar, but I feel like it didn't get the attention it deserved. I don't know. Maybe I just blocked it out, but I feel like you agree with me where this would have been one that I would have wanted to see in theaters if I had known what I was getting into. And the marketing didn't really do that for us. But overall, Thomas, final thoughts, DC League of Super Pets, whether you rank it out of 10 or just give us your overall opinion on it. I know you'll watch it again. What did you think?
Honestly, like right now, just after one watch, like there's a couple of things that like kind of grinded my gears, but it's little things that like character choices that they made inside. 10 out of 10 paws, bro. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 paws. Wow.
10 out of 10 paws. On rewatch, I'm sure it'll come down, but like I loved it so much. I did not anticipate to cry as much as I did.
Yeah, no, it definitely was way more emotional and way more comedic than I was expecting. I'd probably give it like 8 out of like 9 guinea pigs. I think like it's only missing the one because like it's an animated movie that's for children, so it's got to be watered down in certain points. But I do think that overall this was a really well-crafted story, and it didn't feel derivative of anything else that could be considered similar to it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I went into it thinking that it was going to feel like a copy of like a Disney movie, and it ended up having a really original take that I enjoyed watching. So, definitely a solid DC outing, better than most of the live action attempts they've had recently.
Okay, you're in the DC animated sector.
I am
already.
I am.
Would you rank? Where would the? You know what? I need.
That's a good question because I just watched the Judas Contract today, and on my Letterboxd you can find me at JRB_direct. I have a running list of DC animated movies, not limiting it to anything specific. Just if it's DC and it's animated, it's going on this list. And I have DC League of Super Pets at number 2 out of 11 movies on this list right now. That includes movies like Justice League War, Batman vs. Robin, Batman: The Mask of the Phantasm, and Justice League Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, which I just watched earlier today. Mm-hmm. Justice League War is the only movie I have ahead of that. Out of all the animated DC movies I've seen, I think DC League of Super Pets I enjoyed more than all but one of them.
Okay, that is pretty high. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen all these movies, and I love a good feel-good story, and it's kind of in the same boat for me. Like, also, it's got doggies. You know I love doggies.
It's all doggies. It's all doggies.
Ugh.
And John Krasinski is Superman. Like, it can't get better for me.
Keanu Reeves is Batman.
Right. Like, it's just a dream casting. So, like,
It's fantastic.
so
And
much
again,
of this works.
It's not a coincidence. My favorite character is a fucking turtle. You know why? I like turtles.
I like turtles.
Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we reached the end of the show. As always, there could be no show without the Iron Man variant. To my right, world famous journalist John Ross Bradford bringing a much needed eloquence and wit. Thank you to Terry McIver and David Thompson for their work behind the scenes and producing this show. Thank you to HWWS WebTV for supporting us and carrying us on the network. Most importantly, thank you to our fans that join us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or listening via Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or Spotify. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Be sure to like, be sure to follow, be sure to subscribe, drop us a comment, leave us a review, and give us 5 stars. But only if, of course, you think we are worthy.
Worthy. As always, I'm TCR.
And I am JRB.
Thank you for joining episode 102 of Lights Thunder Action. We'll see you next time, joined by Garrett Blaney of Agents of Fandom. And he's going to have to explain his Twitter a lot.
We're going to have to explain a lot of Twitter.
A lot about the Twitter. We'll see you next week, everybody. Cow.